welcome to Midnight Slumber. I am your host, Zach Miller. Join me as we take a journey through the alternate realities that take place after midnight. A cooking competition becomes bizarre as the cast and crew know one another. Enjoy this story, Strange Bake. The lights bearing down on me and our creation are incredibly bright, but the room itself is dark. Behind these lights are cameras and crew that people watching this show never get to see. Even from where I am standing, they just look like shadowy figures moving about. I frantically work away at sculpting the butterfly wings on this cake. There are tons of them, as this cake is taller than I am, and we, my team, have been making hundreds of them. The cake is a giant dragon who summons butterflies to protect the goodness inside. Or at least that's the story we are planning on telling the judges, since everything must have a story and be edible. The wings I am working with are too soft and need to be supported, but I can't find anything to make them firmer. I ask one of my teammates to take over while I look around for some freezing spray. Another one of my teammates, who I can't see their face due to the lights, says we need something to get the texture of the dragon's scales right. Annoyed that another thing has been added to my plate to find, I rush over to the giant cabinet of supplies. As I enter in, I recognize more of the set and some of the people off camera. I have worked with these people in the past, making me wonder if my team and I are eligible to win this competition. I hope knowing the staff won't disqualify us. One of my teammates yells at me, asking if I have found the items yet. I cry back no and continue searching. There are items here that I've never seen before or even know what they do. A shiny bowl catches my eye, and I see a set of patterns tucked inside. Even with the little bit that is showing, I know I have what I need for the scales. As I take the bowl, I see the spray we need on the shelf to the left. I grab it, throw it into the bowl, and race towards my team. The sprint back feels longer than it should, as I see the clock ticking the seconds away. I slam the bowl down onto the table and toss the pattern over to my teammate. I pull the freezing spray out and go to town, blasting those flimsy wings into place. After a few moments of intensity, the alarm goes off, and the host tells us to stop what we are doing. As we begin lining our cake up next to the competition, the cameras shift, focusing on each of the different cakes. I take a few steps back and look proudly upon our work. The dragon looks fantastic. They start with the team in the middle, which designed a snowy mountain scene filled with skiers and a working chairlift for the tiny characters. It's awe-inspiring, as they also have working lights and snow that seems to be falling out of nowhere. Even the judges are dumbfounded about how they are making the snow appear. As one of the judges approaches the left side of the mountain, a fully animatronic Yeti comes running out of the cave towards the judge. The judge jumps back, and everyone bursts out in laughter. Clearly, their cake is going to be a hard one to beat. After that little surprise, they move on to the other team's cake, a Halloween theme. However, their haunted house has fallen apart, and half their cake is on the floor. One of their contestants is fighting back tears, knowing that they will not win. The judges still take their time looking at the still standing work, which you can tell was really well done. The structure just wasn't able to take the weight. A crew member comes over and taps me on the shoulder, telling me to follow her. I tell my team I will be right back. But I am a little worried since we will be judged next. We walk past the cameras, lights, and most of the crew until we reach the back hallway. She doesn't say anything, but just hands me a spray bottle and then walks off back towards the rest of the crew. Not knowing why the heck she handed me this, I look over the bottle in my hand, and there is nothing unique about it. It's a green, clear glass bottle with some clear liquid in it. I squeeze the trigger, and a small burst of what seems like water comes out, and then fades into the air. However, after a short moment, everyone in the room begins to flee, heading for the exits. Some of the crew start opening windows, trying to catch their breath and air out the room. After watching the utter chaos breaking out in this room in front of me, I decide to put this bottle down and quietly leave the set. I slowly back up and open the door behind me. I step through without looking as my focus is still on the people running around. I shut the door as quietly as I can, and as I slowly turn around, I am engulfed in a thick red blanket. The blanket is warm, which is quite nice as I hadn't realized how cold I had been in the other room. I fight my way through the blanket, trying to find an opening. I feel myself getting smaller and the blanket getting heavier as I push through. When I finally emerge from the blanket, I see I am in my friend's bedroom. He is off to my left in his sleeping bag watching an old movie. But what is strange about all this is I am now my 10-year-old self. He looks over at me and says that I will be late if I don't get ready. I look at him confused when I hear an alarm going off. But this time, the room we are in blinks out of existence and transforms into my most recent bedroom. The black curtains sway as the cool ocean breeze blows. My wife comes into the room in an absolutely stunning black dress. Now, I am back as an adult in the house I own. She shouts at me in frustration, asking what I am doing, not knowing how to answer her, not because I don't want to, but because I don't understand how I even went from baking show to kid back to adult life.
We are going to be late for our movie.
I look over at the clock on the nightstand and see 2 movie tickets that say 7 on them. Clock says 6:59 a.m. I look back at her and smile. Honey, we have until 7 p.m. We are going to be fine. She taps her foot and says that magical phrase.
Oh, really? Look again.
I look back at the tickets, and I mistakenly thought the letter A was a P. A.M. Well, She stops me before I can say another word and tells me it doesn't matter. We have church anyway. She leaves the room, and I get up to chase after her. As I pass through the large archway in our bedroom and into the living room, I stop in my tracks as the entire church is here, and they are looking at me. It's pretty embarrassing as I'm standing here in just my boxers. How much weirder can this day get? Thank you for listening to tonight's episode. Please leave a comment and check out our social media on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. We would love to hear your thoughts of tonight's episode. I'm your host, Zach Miller, and thanks for listening. Have a good midnight slumber.